Hey, real estate agents, welcome to the Weekly Closer. I'm your host, Jeff Underwood, along with my co-host, Joey Sampaga. How's it going today, Joey?
Pretty good. I'm going to have to yell since my microphone is a little bit low.
You can do it, man. You can do it. We got a full house with us today. We got Jonas Funston, Mike Palmerine, Brian Duncan with the epicPHX Real Estate Group at Venture REI. How we doing?
Awesome, man. We brought the party today.
Yeah, we did. What's in your cup? No, I'm just teasing.
Do you really want to know?
No, I'm just teasing.
Okay, all right. Just checking. All right.
I mean, with the market the way it is, I figured, somebody might have a little something extra going on.
Yeah, absolutely, we need it. Like I was telling you guys before we got on, and thank God for caffeine and alcohol to fuel this fire, man.
Yeah, it's crazy out there. Hey, why don't we start with the you guys sharing a little bit about yourselves, just kind of real quick, name, how long you've been in the business, and what got you into real estate. Cool.
Well, I will kick it off. So Jonas Funston, team lead of the epicPHX Real Estate Group, founder of Phoenix Relocation Source. We are under the Venture REI brokerage. I've been doing real estate. This is my 16th year. And I got Mike and Brian with us today, also on the team.
Hey guys, my name is Mike Palmerine. Been in the business going on 19 years now. Started in 2002, so kind of started out on my own, and within the last couple of years, joined up with Jonas and his team, and never looked back.
Awesome.
And I'm Brian Duncan. Been in the industry now 4 years this June. Coming from self-employment of 35 years here, was looking for something to do where I didn't have to reinvent myself and kind of launch into a new industry without having to start it from scratch. And so just picked real estate out of the hat, and here we are.
Awesome.
And now we can't get rid of them. You know what I mean? It's like these guys just end up sticking around. It's like, I tried.
Well, it looks like you stuck him in a closet though, there or something.
you know, nobody puts baby in the corner, but today Brian's in the corner, man. We tried to fit three heads in this, and obviously we're really good at selling real estate and not so much on the tech side apparently, but we'll make it work.
So what are you guys doing before we jump into kind of how the team structure and some of those? What are you guys doing right now in today's market? I mean, how are you helping buyers or sellers? I mean, I don't know if you're working mostly buyers or sellers, or, I mean, the market's crazier than I think any of us have ever seen. So,
right. COVID kind of had the inverse effect, I think, that most of us thought was going to happen. Right. Fueled with a lot of things really, but all of us kind of, I think in the real estate industry, we had about that, maybe call it 6-week pause, just kind of figuring stuff out, at the time, obviously, all the short-term rentals were canceling left and right. People were canceling transactions. I had one of my clients buying an investment property, pull the plug like that. Fortunately, in all of that, only had one cancellation during that time. So feel fortunate, from there. But yeah, since then it's just been a rocket ship, man. And I think the best word would be exhausting. We're all feeling fatigued. I know the buyers are feeling fatigued. I think to a certain degree, the sellers are feeling fatigued. I know us as agents, lenders, I mean, we're all just burning at both ends. It's just kind of, you get out of it what you put into it. So it just means more hours. It means more time per deal, more, driving time with the clients, and really trying to leverage relationships and do creative things to help ourselves and our clients stand out amongst the crowd, especially on the buyer side. The sales side is the easy side right now.
All right, guys. So I know that with we'll get into the team structure and all that too, but I know your business has a lot to do with investors, second homes, relocation. So how's that been during this whole time? You getting a lot of people moving here from the West Coast?
We're getting tons of people, and not just the West Coast. I mean, all over really. Obviously, California is leading the charge with that, no question. But we've got people, the biggest states, I guess we're seeing, obviously, California, Oregon to a certain degree, Washington, New York, New Jersey, Minnesota, Illinois, I would say are kind of the heavy hitters as far as, people coming in town. So yeah, that's been keeping us busy with the relocation space. A big part of our business is also focusing on vacation rentals and in that market. So we have a lot of people that are true second homeowners that are just coming out here to snowbird. And then we get a lot of people that either want to do that or solely looking at it from an investment standpoint, looking to buy, vacation rental properties ranging from condos to, luxury and everything in between. So I know that's been keeping all of us busy. I know Mike and Brian are running around staying busy with those clients. So we've been very fortunate there.
Yeah. And Mike, I know you were talking about how you've put a lot of miles on the car. You used to work east side and now mostly on the west side?
It's still both. I'm kind of just splitting my time a little bit. It's still majority the East Valley. That's kind of my specialty. But man, I really start to know the west side of Phoenix for sure.
Yeah. And you seeing, I know you mentioned some flips earlier.
Yep.
How you're getting those mostly from just real estate partners, wholesalers? Where are you finding those?
Mostly wholesalers that we're picking them up from. We have the luxury of the last 4 that we've done. We had the option of viewing them before we actually purchased them, which was kind of nice.
Got it.
But yeah, it's nice just because we're kind of creating our own inventory as well. We just had one here recently that Brian was actually brought in the buyer for it as well. So
keep it in house.
Oh, there you go. So you do some specific type of marketing, I guess, with those flips out to maybe a list that you guys already have of buyers?
We do a lot of the pre-market. I do a lot of the pre-market myself. We do a lot of the social media. This particular one, I was fortunate enough that Brian had the client. We were kind of mid-project and they were able to make some adjustments as we were getting finished with the product and we're going to close on it. So
that's nice. They get to pick out possibly flooring and different colors and stuff like that.
Yeah, some colors. Rearrange some interior modifications. So yeah, it worked out really nice.
That's great.
My custom home.
Yeah.
So that created a nice little friction from the team. But that's teams are like families, man. We fight, we love, we do all that stuff.
That's right. How about you, Brian? What part of the valley are you mostly in or working?
Primarily Metro Phoenix area. Although like Mike, I've been down to Eloy and out some of the outlying communities. I'm a native Arizonan, so I have some roots, throughout the communities here, from anywhere from Florence, Coolidge, all the way to eastern Arizona. I wanted to go back and touch on something that Mike said, that we're doing some investing on ourselves too. One thing we pride ourselves in is being more of an advisory role, where we actually practice what we preach. I as well do flips, so I have when we go in and we're pitching to our clients, which I'm primarily in the investment side, we're able to talk to them from a point of expertise and kind of reinforce that. So that's one of our give backs to our clients, is that we're out there actually doing it and able to kind of teach them or support them with our experiences.
That's great. Well, and you get to a point, if you haven't already, I guess, where some of your clients might want to start investing a little bit of their funds in some of these projects.
Absolutely. Yeah, we've done some. I know I, for one, have done some partner deals with some of my clients. Where they started off kind of client-agent relationship, and then we end up doing, joint deals together, flips and that sort of thing. So it's cool to see the team in particular kind of diversify and kind of sharpen their tools with kind of evolving in their roles and becoming more than just. I know this sounds maybe the wrong terminology, but just a basic realtor, right? These are really real estate advisors, and we pride ourselves on the fact that we're not just fit in one box and focus on one area. And I know you're asking earlier kind of how things have changed a little bit with COVID. Having some of the agents that maybe were only focusing on a specific sphere or core area and kind of getting them out of their comfort zone and learning different parts of the valley, different parts of the market, different parts of investment strategy, and then being able to obviously pass that information and skill set along to our clients.
Absolutely. No, that's great. And I know we keep throwing around the word team a lot. So why don't we transition to talking about kind of the team structure, I guess, as well as how Mike and Brian decided to be part of an actual team instead of just going off on their own. And
yeah, I'll kick it off and then I'll kind of let them, speak for themselves as far as kind of what the draw was to join in the team. But, like I said, I've been doing this 16 years. most of the stuff I learned was trial and error and making those mistakes. You usually don't learn your lessons by doing it all right. So first 10 years of my career was, had a lot of success, but also had a lot of, pain points and challenges and not being able to, I guess, properly leverage when you're a one-man show. And kind of when that transition happened was not early on, but, mid decade in that process, hiring on an assistant, just knowing when your first hire should be, right? Knowing when you're kind of at capacity and you have that consistent stream of business. And there usually becomes a point where it's difficult to properly service your clients as a one-man show, let alone try to find that life work balance as a one-man show, right? And I always joke and say that we wake up every morning unemployed. We wake up every morning looking for the next deal, looking for the next client, and that sort of thing. So for me, it started with hiring an assistant part-time, 20 hours a week. Eventually, pretty quickly, actually, within a couple months, got so busy, had to hire her full-time. And then, just, seeing the team model evolve and kind of what that looked like for me. I didn't really want to go and follow a templated model. Obviously there's a lot of, bigger brokerages out there that kind of have plug and play models. For me, it was going to be important to build it from the ground up and to be organic and authentic and that sort of thing. So, after that, my first hire was a client concierge. I know we've had Ashley on the podcast previously and interviewed her, and then having, building out the infrastructure. So having the client concierge from the customer support side and the agent support side, and then the transaction coordinator, hiring somebody on to do marketing, and then just building from there. Now we have, 2 transaction coordinators. Ashley's, been with me for 3.5 years and some change. James has been here for going on 2 years, and being able to provide value to the agents. You know what I mean? I think from a team standpoint, I think that's one of the biggest draws is, what value you can provide and what value the agents can provide to the team as a collective. So that's kind of really what we wanted to build and what we wanted to create.
Yeah. Mike or Brian, you want to?
Yeah, I'll jump in for just a minute. So when I started out my career, I was by myself. I mean, that's the scariest thing when you get your license for the first time. They're like, all right, no, go out there and sell some real estate. And I was like, I don't know what to do. I didn't know the contracts. I didn't know paperwork. So I was kind of self-taught through my beginning of my career. I've known Jonas for a long time now. And within the last, I'd say maybe 4 or 5 years, maybe, he's like, hey, why don't you jump on over here? And I'm thinking, well, I don't want to give up any of my commission, So I was kind of stubborn a little bit. I had my own marketing company that I was running too. So I had a decent pay, but then I started to really get serious about it. I was starting to get a little bit more clients, and I thought, well, maybe Jonas does have a pretty good thing over there. So we had some more serious talks beginning of 2020. I jumped over, and it's probably the best thing, because even though I do give up a little bit of my commission, just what I made throughout the year just far surpasses that.
So Mike set an income goal for himself, and basically when we were having that initial conversation, and he shared with me what that needed to be. I'm like, Mike, if you don't at bare minimum hit that, I've failed. And I think you blasted it out of the water, right?
I probably doubled that.
Yeah, doubled it.
Awesome. No, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, and then from Brian's standpoint, he was a newer agent. I'm not one to hire straight out of real estate school. I know a lot of brokerages kind of have that model where they set up and bring them in right out of school, or even set up their own schools and just kind of, funnel them right through the pipeline. For me, I didn't want a newbie. I wanted somebody who'd kind of cut their teeth a little bit, kind of had some experience and but was looking to grow and scale to the next level. Brian and I have known each other for quite a while too. Our boys went to school together and friends. And so we're kind of, mutual friends and associates from that standpoint, and kind of watching Brian, grow into his role and seeing, how hungry he was and his commitment to put in the grind. Once I saw that, and I felt at that time it was a good time to have the conversation about kind of bringing him on and mentoring him and helping him kind of go to the next level. Brian, if you want to kind of chime in on that.
Yeah, for me, early on, I guess it goes back to my 35 years plus of self-employment, where I was, I had small teams basically that I ran. But for me, it was kind of having that same structure, even though I wasn't the head honcho. I still wanted to be able to leverage employees and, friends and, skill sets, and even on a smaller level. So for me, initially, I joined a large team, or not a team, but a large brokerage, and just found myself lost there. It wasn't what I was looking for. Wasn't, I didn't have the support of teammates to, cover vacations and whatnot. So I did that for about a year and a half, and then started talks with Jonas. And I'm really big about teams and leveraging. It's not my job, is not part of my mantra. It's all of our jobs, and I think we're all vastly more successful if we leverage those team members and their skill sets across the board.
Yeah, I think that we've had over 250 interviews now, and it seems like the team structure is very prominent, for actual decent production out there. It seems like right now, because everybody does have a specific skill set, and having that support system is big. And then having that ability to challenge each other, I think, is another big thing. So,
yeah,
I agree. I think one thing to point out too is, there's where I think a lot of teams fail is, and a lot of agents looking for the wrong thing. There's never a problem with leads, right? You know what I mean? Every single brokerage, every single team, they're going to promise you leads. That's just one component. Obviously, leads is kind of, business, right? And that sort of thing, but there's so much more to it. And so, I think the teams that really are successful are the ones that are cohesive, that do kind of work as a collective, and it's not just individual agents going in and cold dialing out of the cold buyers leads pond that the other 100 agents before them have beat to death, right? That sort of thing. It's really providing value and finding out which others strengths and weaknesses are. Obviously Brian comes from business background. Mike has a marketing background. Everybody else kind of has their own facets, and finding what that is. And we've actually moved agents around and kind of changed roles and positions as we go, as that's kind of created. Like, for example, Eve, who's one of our transaction coordinators, she initially came in as an agent, and COVID hit, was super rough. She has 6 kids, and so all of a sudden she's a teacher, and that sort of thing. So for have her go out, run around with clients, just wasn't feasible. So she raised her hand, came to me, asked if she could jump into the TC role. And I didn't have any experience with her running that role, because that's not why she was brought in the team. She has by far, hands down, and I'm not just saying this because she's on my team, the best transaction coordinator that we've ever dealt with. I mean, we literally have had transaction coordinators and agents write her thank you letters and send me thank you letters, and of course try to recruit her and that sort of thing. So it's just kind of being able to shift, because this business is not a one size fits all. You know what I mean? There's no template that works for everybody. You know what I mean? And so, whether it's from lead follow-up, whether it's from, marketing, whatever it is, you can't force somebody to do something that they're not good at. And if you try to do that, it's not going to work. So we're very good at kind of pivoting and helping each other out. Like, hey, let me run with that. I'll take that piece. You do this, helping each other out. Like, hey, going across town, I'm going to be, we always joke and say, hey, we're going to take a quick trip to Surprise. Our office is in Chandler. There's no such thing as a quick trip to Surprise. You know what I mean? But, unless
you have a helicopter, I guess.
Unless you got a helicopter, man, what can we do to help? I'm going to be on the West Side. Anybody need anything, and that sort of thing. So I think that's what makes it works. And, and why we have, the longevity that we've had with the agents. Cause you see a lot, most teams are just kind of a revolving door, you know what I mean? And and leads only go so long. Right. And for me, we're, like Brian was saying, and Mike, we're practitioners of our craft. So every agent that comes in, like Jeremy is our newest addition, for example, one of the things that attracted to him is I'm a big proponent of real estate investing. I'm a real estate investor myself. I do fix and flip. I do buy and hold. I do vacation rentals, rehabs, whole 9 yards. And every single one of the agents, and even Ashley, who's going to real estate school, not licensed yet, she's bought her first investment property. All of these guys that are coming, Jeremy's doing his first flip under the assistance with Brian. And, and that's part of the attraction. I mean, we can go out and help clients make money and create wealth and opportunities through real estate. But if you're doing that, all you're doing is for a paycheck. You're not doing it for legacy. You're not doing it for, hey, I'm going to build this portfolio. And it's difficult to have those conversations with clients if you're not a practitioner. Hey, hypothetically, here's how you do this. Well, have you done it? No. You know what I mean? So for me, it's important for us to not be hypocrites in our craft. So if we're telling you this is a good investment, if we're telling you this is an up and coming area, if we're telling you, hey, this is how you make money doing this vertical in real estate, it's because we walk the walk, we talk the talk. And it's awesome to see all these guys and gals just like, stepping up and not only killing it, at their roles, but actually going and creating opportunities and buying properties for themselves and their family and kind of stepping into that role. So that's exciting too.
No, that's great, man. That's great. And when you mentioned, moving one of the team members from agent to TC, and all that, it made me think a little bit about, years back, I spent a little time consulting over at Infusionsoft out here in Chandler. And, they're big on, we've got the bus.
Yep.
We just need to figure out which seat this person's going to sit in.
Right. Yeah.
Right. No, so sounds like that's what you guys are doing over there for sure.
Super similar philosophy for sure. No doubt.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's trial and error. You know what I mean? There's a lot of stuff that we do and we're just like, that didn't work, or, wasn't the right person for that, or here's my strengths and weaknesses. And then, so it's about always making pivots and adjustments and just kind of, and getting better. So we're not perfect, but I think we're, for lack of a better word, I think our team's pretty badass, man. So
there you go. Yeah. There you go. Epic, right?
Epic. We are epic.
There we go.
No doubt.
So before we move to the next segment, where do you see 2021 going now that, after what we saw in 2020 and what we're seeing so far this year?
Yeah.
What do you think's on the horizon down this year?
I'll let Brian and Mike start with that, and then I'll kind of give my 2 cents.
I'll jump in at first here. Hopefully we see more inventory. I mean, it's just nothing out there, and we're putting several offers in on homes, and so I'm hoping that we see more inventory. I'm seeing it slow down just a little bit, maybe days on the market, or just maybe a little bit longer. Not much, but it is lasting a little bit longer. Noticing a little bit more wholesale properties too coming up. Okay. So I'm excited for that.
All right.
For me, I think it's going to be a different market right now. And this is kind of a recent phenomenon. I'm having conversations with my primary residence buyers right now, and kind of pivoting off of what we're doing as investors here. So with the limited inventory, I'm having conversations. I had 2 last night with they're passing over properties because it's not where they want to spend forever. So I'm having talks with them and trying to get them thinking as an investor. This may not be your forever home, but let's leverage the equity that's coming in over the next couple of years, and I'll give you a discount when I sell it, or just kind of getting them thinking in a different way. And I think that's kind of speaks back to what Jonas said with the pivot. How do we pivot? How do we serve our clients, in the best possible manner? And it's leveraging all of our skill sets and all of our, things we're doing. And it resonated last night with 2 of my clients, and I've got them on the hook this morning, looking at properties in a different way. So
that's great.
That's where we're headed, is on that pivot. How we kind of leverage all of those different, avenues.
Got it. Yeah. Oh, that's awesome.
I think, inventory is our current problem, but is what we got to understand is, people are like goldfish, they've got very short memories. And so when rates are sub, 3%, they think that's normal, and all of a sudden when rates start moving up, this won't be like this forever. As rates are increasing, we have been seeing rates increase over the past month across the board on the primary side, but particularly on the investment second home segment. I think rates are really going to dictate where inventory goes more than anything, because we can't change how fast homes are being built. You know what I mean? They're basically at capacity with that. We can't stop the inflow of people moving here, right? So is what will adjust that out as affordability becomes an issue, right? Affordability is going to become an issue as pricing continues to rise. And then also as rates increase, every time there's a 0.25% bump, 0.8% bump, or on the investment side, bigger bumps than that, it affects people's buying power or their motivation to purchase, right? If you're an investor or second homeowner, all of a sudden your rate's a full percent higher, that changes things. So I think the biggest indicator as far as where the market's going to go is watching where the interest rates continue to follow. And there will become a point as, if pricing continues to escalate at the level that it does, that people are, it'll just be that tipping point where like, all right, this is kind of at its peak. So, and I hear all the people like, oh, when, the flood of foreclosures are coming, or when the mortgage moratorium is lifted. I'm like, well, you look at the inventory we have now, we can literally increase the inventory, 8-fold, almost 10-fold, and be at a balanced buyers and sellers market. So having this flood of inventory, unless it somehow exceeds that, I don't really see it, crashing the market. I think we'll see the market level. I think we'll see it kind of shift to more of a level playing field, and we welcome it. So right now it's just kind of getting through it. It's grinding. It's getting the deals across the finish line that we can. Yeah. And then waiting for the opportunity to shift. It will level out. I think it's going to happen before the end of the year. I think it's probably going to happen sooner than that is my guess. So. Yeah.
All right. Well, I know that I think I saw something yesterday. It looks like they might be extending the foreclosure moratorium to sometime in 2022.
Wow.
Now.
Okay.
So pushing it off even more.
So we're talking about the slowest Band-Aid rip you can possibly do is what we're doing there. So, but I guess it goes from one extreme to the last, right? Because the last time, we're all around and, during the market crash, what did the banks do? They flooded the market, you know what I mean? And they didn't have any problems, with the foreclosures and short sales. That quickly came to bite them in the ass. And you see how that impacted the market. So I think it's a combination between government policy and also the banks like, look, that doesn't work. We got to figure out a way to, to basically not hurt ourselves, right? And the big difference is at that time, most people didn't have equity. You know what I mean? There was a ton of overbuilding. There was a ton of speculation. People were buying loans with no money down. I think I was reading this past week, the average equity in Metro Phoenix is 36.2%. That's a lot of equity. So even if you haven't made mortgage payments for a year or 2 years, it takes a long time to erode all that equity. So worst case scenario, you're in a position where you can't, continue to maintain the property, you sell. You know what I mean? Right. And so I don't think we're going to see a market crash. You look what's happening economically. You look what's happening with, like I said, the people moving here. I think it'll just level out. It'll slow down. It'll probably go into more of a slow growth mode. You know what I mean? I mean, some major economic event or rates just would have to go sky high to have this market crash. You know what I mean? So again, I'm not worried about it. Do I agree with continuing to kick the can down the road? Not necessarily, because, I mean, how long can you wait for things to turn around? And I understand, trying to wait for, jobs to get created, economy to maybe improve a little bit more, the, COVID situation to ease up a little bit. But I think there has to be a clearly defined point. But obviously, guys on this call don't make those decisions. So we just roll with the punches, man.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. One solution I think we might see, and who knows, maybe we won't see. But I know there's a development right now in, I think, upstate New York, where they're building 3D houses, those 3D printed houses.
Okay.
Concrete, right? But they can build them. And I think the article, it was a CNBC article, I believe it said like 48 hours is what it takes to build one. It only takes 3 people, 3 workers to do it. And they're selling them for less than half of what a stick build is.
I've seen that. I know there was a company out, I think it was, I don't know if they're based in Austin, but they did the same thing in Austin where they did the 3D printed house and that sort of thing. I didn't know they were doing it in New York. I think that's a valid point. I don't know if 3D houses is going to be the solution. I know that, affordability is a problem. I think the future is going to be more gravitating towards modular homes. And when I say modular, I don't mean manufactured homes. There's a big difference between modular and manufactured and park homes, and people confuse that. Jim Belafort, for example, he's a huge guy in the Phoenix real estate market, and a lot of the builders go to him. He's recently taken a position with a national modular home builder. And I mean, this guy's this guy's one of those guys that's kind of like, Michael Cromford. I mean, when he talks, people listen, right? So for him to take a position with a company like that, to me, says a lot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's kind of like the analogy. You look at how homes are built now, it's not efficient. You know what I mean? You got weather issues, you got labor issues, you got material shortages. When you have controlled environments where you can build homes, whether it's, 3D printed homes or whether, huge Amazon size, facilities, and they're building them on site using, lasers and CNC machines and computer programs. And then they're basically shipping them on site, doing the finish work. I think, honestly, that's going to be a huge trend, over the next decade as far as how homes are being built, and I think Phoenix will probably be one of the leaders in that charge. Well,
I think no matter what, we're going to have to see something change.
No doubt.
Because, there's a segment of the population that just will not be able to afford houses.
100%.
So, and that's always the case. But I mean, they definitely need to come up with something, whether it's the 3D printed with concrete homes, which I think would structurally be very sound.
Right.
And if they can do it that quick with that, small of the labor team, involved, then I don't know, might be something there.
Something to watch, man.
I had to buy some land and start printing some houses.
Start building some mud homes. Start building some concrete homes, man.
Well, thank you guys so much.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to move to the next segment. Big shout out also to Alex Roberts with Security Title. Get you on
Rod.
here. She's awesome. She's awesome. Our sponsor, Security Title Agency and Fidelity National Home Warranty. So agents, give them a try. And we're going to get in the ring if you guys are ready. Let's do it. All right. So let's start off with, how about a book recommendation or an audio book recommendation? Anybody have one?
Yeah. Who has time to read?
Who has time to read? All right. Well, I'm sure.
How about a favorite show on Netflix or?
I was going to say, well, I'm sure this book's been, probably 100 of your 250 interviews, but I mean, Rich Dad Poor Dad, game changer book for me. You know what I mean? I did it on audiobook. I know we were talking about that before we went live. I'm big on podcasts. I'm big on YouTube stuff where you can just kind of listen to it in the background. But yeah, I mean, just the basic fundamentals. There's no rocket science in that book at all. Yeah. But they're tried and true fundamentals of real estate, and I think it's a killer book. If somehow there's somebody in real estate who has not read or listened to that book, they need to listen to that book.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Mike or Brian, anything to add?
I think my wife's been watching some good shows on TV, but I can listen to them, but I'm usually working. So
I was going to say, we're getting that a lot. I was asking the question to several agents recently. Do you have a favorite Netflix series or Amazon Prime or whatever? And a lot of them are like, I'm too busy to watch anything right now. So that's a good thing. That's a good thing.
It's called laptop on the couch with it in the background, kind of half paying attention, mainly doing work is usually what our MO is here these days.
Isn't that the truth? You got like 3 devices going at once, right?
Yeah, no doubt. Exactly.
Well, why don't we ask this one then? How about we finish up with this? What are you most looking forward to as things start getting back to normal?
Let's go with Brian. Brian, lead us off, buddy.
For me, I think it's just getting back to the cyclical part of our transaction, getting back to a more normal time frame where we're not spending, writing 5, 6, 8 offers to get a client in with the inventory, and that'll all get better eventually. But that's, being able to take some of that downtime to be able to watch that, read that book, and watch that TV show. So that's, I guess, what I'm kind of looking forward to.
Yeah, and it can be personal too. So after the whole COVID thing, so
yeah.
Anybody else?
I'm just looking forward to just getting back to just talking with people and just in general. I mean, that was my, it's the reason why I got into real estate. I was in marketing and design, stuck behind a computer all the time and kind of still stuck behind a computer a little bit. I'm getting out there more and more, but just getting out and talking with the public. That's my biggest thing that's how I became successful in real estate, is just talking with people. So my advice to, agents coming out in the real estate is just talk to as many people as possible.
Yeah.
I think the thing for me is just kind of having some normalcy in regards to how we're transacting as agents and as brokerages. You know what I mean? As the inventory gets tighter, you're seeing just people doing some tactics and some shenanigans that are pretty weak. You know what I mean? Like there's absolutely no reason to do like 5-day lead times on, reviewing offers and stacking and, rhymes with schmebity 2 hours and stuff like that, where you're just, jamming people in houses and just creating this chaos and, agents, just trying to hoard and double end, deals with, open houses and we're definitely pro open house. Don't get me wrong, but their motivation is not always lead capture, is trying to double end. And then you see other agents out there that are, doing, 2.25% or 2% co-brokes. And then you see the settlement statement. You're like, oh, cool. You got 4, you know what I mean? Like, so, I understand it's lean. I understand it's challenging, but I just think we're seeing a lot of unprofessionalism in our craft. And I look forward to having it go to more of a normal market where we're treating each other with respect and actually returning phone calls. And, it's laughable to me when you connect with an agent and they're complimenting on you on the fact that you're responsive and communicative and vice versa. And you're like, this is now not the norm. You know what I mean? And, we're, it shouldn't be like that. Right. I just feel when we have some more inventory, when we have some more kind of, people not losing their minds, hopefully we have some more of that, normalcy and respect come back in our industry.
Yeah. Yeah. I saw a 1.5 the other day.
Oh yeah.
And it wasn't even on a, 500. I mean, it was on like a 340 list price, but anyway,
if you want to slash and burn your commissions, volunteer to do that and be a flat fee or whatever, just don't volunteer ours. Right. So, yeah. And at the end of the day, we're not going to not show the property, but it's just like, there's some people in our industry that will do anything and it's what's the saying? Fast race to the bottom. You know what I mean? Just keep undercutting each other and you know what I mean? And yeah, it's just, it blows me away.
I think Seth Godin talks a lot about that. It's a race to the bottom.
Race to the bottom, man.
That's ever cheaper labor and ever faster machinery.
Yeah. Well, I'm not on that pony, man. That's not my race. So
no.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys so much for being on here and sharing. It's great information. I love the team concept. I'm sure agents are going to get some things out of this one for sure. So thanks for taking time out of your day.
Absolutely. Thank you.
I know you're super busy and all that, but
always a pleasure, guys. Thanks again.
Yeah, we'll let you get back to it. All right.
All right.
Thanks. All right. Till next time, agents. We'll see you later. Thanks, guys.
Bye.